Jurgen, that's a painful setback. We're talking about VAR again. Was it just? Was it right? Was it correct?
Yeah, I think the situations were the two offside I asked. I didn't see the payback, but our analyst said, yeah, it was really close with Mo, I think, was the foot. But we are used to armpits and club badges, so if it's a toe, then it's obviously offside. And the other one with Sadio was clear, I heard. So, yeah, penalty. Yeah, it's how it is. I think that the decisions were right, yes.
I think the decisions were right. Well, Jurgen Henderson says some of the Brighton players agreed that it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, but the ref, look, you try to create again on my cost. You do a headline because that's how it is. But if I say now it was not, but the ref whistled it. Don't look like this. You try always, all the time. So, but today I say it was a penalty, and you are not happy with that answer. So, what do you want to hear? Then give your answers yourself.
I was just telling you what your players said and Brighton.
Yeah, the players were closer. I saw it. I said it was a penalty because the ref whistled it. So after watching it.
Okay, so you agree with that decision. In terms of the performance today, then?
Very good. Very good. I couldn't be more proud of the boys, what they put out here today. You know what we said before the game, what a possession team Brighton is. Usually I couldn't see that. The boys played like we had to play the first half an hour. We struggled a little bit with the new last line, with their balls in behind, because we didn't drop in the right moment. We got that sorted in the first half already. Second half we had no problems with that anymore, but second half of course we had some problems with energy. So, and then we set a little bit deeper. And that's how the situation happened. But we had the situations around the goals we scored were brilliant. Even never disallowed, but the situations were brilliant. Mo's goal was a brilliant goal. Sadio's header was outstanding. Some other situation, the goal we scored was really cool. So that was all good, but it's just tough times. That's how it is.
Seemed like the opportunities had got away from you, but right at the end it turns around.
Yeah, you know, it's one of them games you got to try and stick in it right until the end. We knew that we could maybe create some opportunities and, you know, disrupt their back line with a few runs in behind. And yeah, in the end we got a soft penalty, but it's one that we'll take, and we've got the point now, so we'll move on to next week.
You say a soft penalty, but you pleaded your case with the officials. It was still a penalty in your view?
Yeah, well, you know, in today's game, you know, with the VAR, and I've touched the ball before him. Obviously, I wanted to nick it and then get round him, but he's kicked it. He's kicked me and then kicked the ball. So, you know, the referee's been over to the screen and seen it, and he's made his decision.
Yeah, Andy Robertson. He's going to have his say now with the referee as well. Yeah, I mean, an eventful game. I think Jurgen Klopp was probably in an average mood, to say, to be polite, before the game. I think he's going to be absolutely fuming now. I don't think he thought it was a pen. However, and we'll go on to the penalty in I'm sure in the next few minutes, but Mo Salah got a penalty for probably something a lot less than that a couple of weeks ago against West Ham, so I don't think he's got too much to complain about. There is consistency there.
OK. Did Brighton deserve a point from that game?
Ish. I think you think Liverpool, you know, 2 offside goals, you know, they didn't play great. The tempo wasn't really there. Jota comes up with a huge goal for them. You think, you know, that's enough. But I thought Brighton did OK. But Liverpool, you know, just the margins were so fine. And every game Brighton plays, they play well, don't they? But they tend to lose those games. All of a sudden now, you know, we saw against Villa and again today, they're picking up points. Their performances deserve more than they get. And I think Liverpool just went out their best today. OK, so 1 down of the 4 games this Saturday. And it begins with the champions dropping points at the Amex with a huge talking point late on. Next up, the team who lifted the trophy before them, Manchester City, at home to Burnley. I have a couple of Premier League debutants to tell you about when we get round to that game as well. Later on, Leeds go to Everton, and a huge game at the bottom, West Bromwich Albion entertaining Sheffield United. So Liverpool do go back to the top, but only by 1 point, not by 3, which means that if Spurs avoid defeat at Chelsea tomorrow, they'll go back to the top. But of course, Chelsea can also go level on points with the champions if they win that huge game at Stamford Bridge. Another point to Brighton's total takes them into double figures. Played 10 with 10, 5 clear of Burnley, who we will watch next at the Etihad.
That's Danny Welbeck's thoughts. He says soft penalty. What do you say?
You know my thoughts. I think we're getting way too many penalties every single week. Or every single match it feels there's penalties. Another 2 in today's game. The only thing is, I mentioned before the break that Mo Salah got given one for a similar thing a while back against West Ham.
Do you think that's a penalty, Mark?
I don't, because I just don't like it. We're getting to a stage now where we're saying, look, he's touched him. But a touch has never been. It's not in the rule book to say a touch is a penalty. Of course he touches him, he clips him on the toe, but 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps after it, and then decides to sit down on the floor. There's no way there's enough force in that to back off his feet. But as I say, I go back to it. This is not sour grapes because Liverpool didn't win. Salah got one the other day, and everyone said that was and I couldn't have that either. I just think we're getting to a stage where any little touch, and what we also need to be careful of is all this slowing it down. For our sake, it's fantastic. But VAR, it was never that in the first place. It was supposed to be real-time action. And in real time, it's not a penalty. It's only when you slow it down, you start thinking, actually, you can make a case. And I don't think they should be slowing it down in the VAR hub.
Mr. Hargreaves?
Yeah, I see where Mo's coming from. I think when you slow it down, when they slow it down, they're always going to look at it.
What did you think straight away in real time?
I think Danny's trying to poke it round him.
What did you think when it happened?
I think it's a soft one, but I think Danny's he's not trying to get a pen. He's trying to touch it to get it round him. And he does, really. He gets there first. That's what Danny said. Even Danny said it's soft, yeah? So he's trying to poke it and get it round him, but then it hits Robertson standing there. Then Danny goes down, because he has been kicked. And it is a foul. It is slightly soft, but once they look at it on that angle slow, and he sees Danny gets there first, he's given it. 100%, we've seen that from the referees. That one there, when he touches it, and then Robertson kicks him, I think when they slow it down, they give it. In real time, I don't think so. But like that angle, you wouldn't really say, not really. But I think when you slow it down, it makes it look more clear-cut than it is. In football, at real speed, it's impossible. It doesn't look like that, you know. It's hard.
Steve, I tell you what we thought in real time is the ball was 25 yards out. We were just still following the ball. No one even thought the play stopped, and someone was in our ear saying the ref's looking at something here, and we're like, what's happened? What's happened? Nobody saw that in real time. The ref didn't see it in real time. That's what we thought in real time. Nothing. The game is continuing. We're bringing it back, fair enough, and then we're slowing it down. It's just making everything look more and more like a penalty.
Thank you. Got the answer in the end. Took me 3 questions. Dermot Gallagher is going to speak to us in a moment after the opinions of the Liverpool captain, Jurgen Henderson.
Jordan, the game looked like it was yours. Did it hurt that it turns around so late?
Yes, it was ours. Should be 3 points in my opinion.
Have you seen the VAR replay? Have you seen the incident?
Yeah.
I can tell from your face you're not happy.
Who would be? You know, if you've got 4 or 5 of their players saying it's not a pen, then you know it's not a pen. So I feel as though we're standing here every week and discussing incidents. So I don't want to get into trouble, but yeah, it's, for me, not a penalty, and we should come away with 3 points.
Danny Welbeck himself said just a few moments ago it was a soft penalty.
Well, he said to me it wasn't. Even I think there was 4 or 5 of them, to be honest, to be fair to them, said they didn't feel it was a penalty. For me, to overturn a decision, you've got to be clear and obvious. That's the thing. That's what I think, or that's what the rule, in my opinion, is when you hear people talking. So, is that a clear and obvious penalty to then go to the screen and then overturn it? And then you've got majority of the players on the pitch saying it's not a penalty. So, obviously the referees know better than us. But for me, I thought the lads were brilliant today and deserved 3 points.
Well, you can see how the Liverpool captain is feeling. Dermot Gallagher, good to see you. He says 4 or 5 of the Brighton players didn't think it was a penalty. What did you think?
I think it's a really tough call. I think it's a very harsh call. When you see it at full speed, as we see from the referee's point of view, the referee's got the best view, Steve. You know, if you look where he is, he's looking straight at it. I think it's impossible to give a penalty seeing what the referee sees there. This is a referee's view. Now, he's looking straight at it. I didn't think he'd give a penalty there. This is the view he goes to and looks at the screen, and he looks at it in slow motion, as both the boys in the studio have alluded to, that when you look at it then, I think you can make a case for a penalty because you see the contact after the ball's gone.
What about Jordan Henderson's point in his interview there that it has to be clear and obvious to go and give it?
Yeah, people talk about clear and obvious, and we had this last season, Steve, with a very high bar for intervention. It seems that bar has come down a lot lower. What I would say to that, though, is if the VAR thinks it's a penalty, it's very difficult to say to the referee not to give it. So you've got this almost anomaly of him saying, yeah, I think it's a penalty, you need to go to the screen, or thinking it's a penalty, sending him. But I think once the referee went to the screen there, and you look at it in slow motion as he did, you can make a case for a penalty. But looking at it, as I say, from the outset, I think it's a real harsh decision.
Dermot, you just mentioned the word slow motion. We were told at the start of the season that when the VAR checks come in, they're going to be played in real time. Why all of a sudden are we watching everything in slow motion?
Well, Michael, I can't answer that, to be honest, because in the last few weeks, as you quite rightly say, we have been seeing the referees go to the screen. They have been looking at it in slow motion. Whether they think that gives them a different perspective, they could see the contact and such like. But as you said earlier in your interview, you know, that when you see it at full speed, it's a different incident to what we saw in slow motion. There's no doubt whatsoever about that.
Yeah, well, exactly that. I mean, what we said before, we're watching the game. We don't even think that there's anything taking place in real time. It's only when you look at the replay and look at slow motion, it looks more and more and more like a penalty. So, but this is a frustration of mine, because I think fouls look more of a foul, you know, incidents look more of big incidents when you slow them down. And I was told, and we were all told, that wasn't going to be the case at the start of the season, and it has been.
Well, it's, in real time, it's not. When it's slowed down, it is.
Exactly.
So at some point, that's why we have rules, don't we, for them to clear it up, you know, what is and what isn't. And I think football's played at such a high speed, it's impossible to get the timing right. Robertson's fractionally out. Danny gets there first. So, you know, I think you've got to go with what happens at the full speed with which the game is played at, rather than, you know, that slow-mo replay then you can see. I mean, we're talking milliseconds, aren't we? But that looks like a long time, and it's not. It's literally so quick you almost can't see it. And Derm makes a great point. The ref's position in the first instance is perfect. You don't even see it. The ball's already at the top of the pitch, almost on the other side. So I think for everybody's sake, and you can see the Liverpool's frustration, we just need more consistency. Maybe just that, you know, don't slow it down. Then, you know, watch it at full speed. I think it makes it easier.
What about Derm's point about the bar coming down in terms of clear and obvious?
I think it's right that they've moved the bar down, because last season you had to, you know, break someone's leg virtually to get one overturned. Everything was the same.
But you think it's gone possibly a little bit too much the other way with the amount of penalties that have been given this season?
I'm not sure that's because of the lowering of the bar. I just think that's because all of a sudden we've got this stupid handball rule that causes hundreds of penalties a season by the looks of things. We've got now the slow replays that we're seeing, so that's going to encourage more penalties as well. I mean, every single game it appears we're giving. I'll love to see the stats, but we're getting more penalties than ever before. It feels like we've had as many this season as we had all last season already. And I just wonder how long this can go on with just penalty after penalty after penalty. The Golden Boot winner in the season now is just going to be who gets the most penalties. We're getting to that stage now, and that can never, ever be the right case.
Dermot, has Michael got a point?
I think there's, you know, the handball definitely, you know, there's been loads of penalties given this season which wouldn't have been given in the past without the change in the handball law. So he's absolutely right there. I still go back to this one. I think when you look at it at full speed, you go no penalty. When you go to the screen and you start to analyse it and break it down and you see it in slow motion, you're going to go penalty. There's no doubt about that. And I think it's a matter of finding the balance.